end of Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, we wanted to bring your attention to this number, 6,603. That's how many reports came in across the country for hate incidents against Asian Americans since the start of the pandemic. Tonight, we're highlighting a man who bared his body and soul to stand up against hate.
Here is my proof. This is sustained through my service in the U.S. military. Now, is this patriot enough?
This viral video propelled Lee Wong into headlines around the world. All new tonight at 11, 10 TV's Angela Ann sat down with him to talk about his newfound fame, but also his new sense of freedom.
On March 23rd, no one inside the Westchester Board of Trustees building expected to hear or see this.
People question my patriotism, that I don't look American enough. They could not get over this face.
Lee Wong says he surprised even himself as he allowed his emotions to take over.
Here is my proof. This is sustained through my service in the U.S. military. Now, is this patriot enough? I was afraid to speak out before, afraid of fear for more abuse and discrimination. And I kept quiet and tolerated. And it was for too long.
Lee says his 20 years in the U.S. Army trained him to put on a brave face for decades. But he says it all boiled over after the recent mass shooting in Atlanta. 6 of the 8 people killed were Asian women who worked in the spas. Law enforcement has not declared the shooting a hate crime, but it opened deep wounds for people like Lee to express themselves in ways they've never done before.
We were just told, always brought up, you sweep your own driveway at the doorstep there. You don't bother anybody. We don't like to be bothered. We don't mingle in other people's business. That's been our DNA for centuries.
Today,
I went to serve 20 years active duty as CID special agent until I retired in 1995.
Lee says he no longer lives in fear or intimidation. He spoke at the Attorney General Alliance Conference in Washington, D.C. a few weeks ago and the American Legion in New York City. He refuses to be complacent and hopes this new call to action will inspire others to break the stereotype of silence.
Not only Asian American, all Americans, regardless of ethnicity, need to speak up for any injustice.
This cabinet displays moments that have defined Lee's life of service to this country.
And this one, I was guarding Secretary of Defense, William Perry.
And this life-size replica of a terracotta warrior from China displays his new mission.
These are the memories, that heritage that we are proud of to share.
It is a heritage that honors a family ancestry that started in China. Lee's parents later moved to British Borneo, now known as Malaysia, where Lee was born. And ever since arriving to the U.S. in 1970, Lee says he hopes to pass down his motto to be kind, to volunteer, and to help others. But he also wants people to know this.
Silence is consent to racism. I learned that from my mistakes that I did not speak out before. I think I even perpetuated even more on the problems, and that's when bad things beginning to happen.
Now, people from around the world are sharing their thanks to Lee, including the U.S. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Dennis McDonough.
I haven't opened it. There's so many.
Hundreds of emails, gifts, and letters of gratitude for a soldier who braved his soul for the world to see.
Patriotism is in my heart, not my skin. It's in my heart.
In Westchester, Ohio, Angela Ann, 10 TV News.
Now, 10 TV partnered with our parent company, Tegna, to produce a special report hosted by Angela. It's called Asian and American and looks at the history of hate in this country, specifically against Asian Americans. You can watch it on 10 TV's Roku and Amazon Fire apps or even online at 10tv.com.